Bethany Christian School. Would you please stand for the processional of our sixth graders?
Family members, study buddies, and teachers to the sixth grade culmination. We can't be more excited to present our speeches to you tonight, but first we should pray. So Mina?
Thank you, Ava. Let's bow our heads and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful school. Thank you for these fantastic teachers who taught us more about Christ since the moment we started here, and for the staff who have shown great Christian leadership. I pray that you will guide us as we move to new schools, and that we will continue to spread the word of Christ as Bethany Christian School has taught us to do. I pray that we could set examples for our future classmates, and that we will continue to cherish the lessons we have learned here. I also want to pray for our study buddies. I pray that they will learn and grow in you as we have done before them. Thank you for giving us Bethany Christian School, a school we will remember forever. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Good evening again, and what a blessing it is to be here with all of you tonight. Bethany Christian School, as you know, is a school with great traditions, and you'll see several of those in action tonight. Thank you to the many families here who have helped establish those traditions after having been part of the Bethany Christian School community for at least a decade each. You've been our moms, our dads, and our grandparents who we look up to, our amazing volunteers, and our friends. Included in this group tonight are also three families whose sixth grader is a second-generation student at Bethany. Those families, as you know, include the Barretts, the Gerbers, and the Jagos. And I just love that they sent their kids to Bethany after experiencing it themselves. But I want to thank all the families in this class for pouring themselves into Bethany Christian School, for trusting us with your children, and for being integral parts of our community. On a personal note, I would like to publicly thank you for allowing us to partner with you in the raising of your children. This class is incredibly unique for this day and age. This is actually my 20th year in education, so I've had the opportunity to meet hundreds of sixth graders over the years. These students have continuously been accepting to others, ours I mean. They are kind, they are creative, they write musicals. They are excellent role models on this campus and beyond. They promote positive behavior in others. They're first to apologize, not last. They don't need to be convinced. They're compassionate, competitive, encouraging, wise, faithful. They all still spend lunchtime together, the boys and the girls together. Zombie tag, anyone? I could not be more grateful that this is the class that our family, and these are the families that Dawson and our family joined when I arrived at Bethany Christian School in 2012. I am confident that this class has the strength to carry these traits with them to their new schools, even though their numbers will be divided. Next year will be the real test, right? I really do believe that this class has the power to change the world for the better. They will have the courage to stand up and to stand in the gap for those who can't stand up for themselves, as we've been studying this year with our theme, Learn, Love, Lead. That goes along with our theme verse from Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 and 2 that reads, "Be imitators of God, therefore, as dearly loved children, and live a life of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God." No pressure. Tonight, we use the word culmination instead of graduation because it describes the highest or climactic point of something, especially as attained after a long time. Educators also use the phrase culminating project in the classroom to describe projects that apply all concepts that have been taught and learned. Your speeches tonight are the culmination of your years at Bethany Christian School and are one of Bethany's most anticipated traditions. We're so proud of how hard our students have worked to compose and memorize their reflections. Many of these sixth grade students began speaking in front of large groups on this very stage in preschool. Anyone remember that? Preschool program? And each year after that, they've been trained to take on one or more responsibilities in addition during the presentations in their classes. Tonight, however, instead of just saying a short line in a play or sharing one small scripture, the students will express what they've learned here at Bethany Christian School through the delivery of autobiographical, memorized 2 to 3 minute speeches. I know you will be a friendly audience, and you will support them, of course, so that they can concentrate and do their absolute best. It's time now to hear from our students. And that is an awesome reminder. I'm going to check my own phone right now so that our students are going to be good to go. Jake Arnold, we're going to begin with you tonight. Come on up.
Wow, where did time go? Wasn't it just yesterday that I started going to Bethany? Well, I guess I better get going. But first, I think I should say something about my favorite part of school, Bethany's field trips. My top 5 favorite are 1, outdoor ed, 2, Sacramento, 2, Astro Camp, 3, Sacramento, 4, the Santa Barbara Zoo, and 5, Creative Studios. First, outdoor ed. I really liked the outdoor ed camp, and one day it even hailed. I will never forget that. Next, Astro Camp. The camp had food worse than dog food, but the activities were amazing. I remember one day I went to go get a bagel with my mom, and I said, "Hey, can I get the blueberry bagel?" And then she said, "That's mold, not blueberries." I also remember we had to work in groups to construct a satellite in the enormous swimming pool. Next, Sacramento. I really liked it in Old Town, but we also visited a ton of museums and panned for gold. But my favorite part was probably the gummy snakes in the candy store. The candy store gave out free samples, and who doesn't like free candy? The candy store also had a creepy clown on the loft. Next, the Santa Barbara Zoo. I remember that I got to stay longer with my mom and her friend, and I got to see all the animals. And I was quite interested in the reptiles. Next, Creative Studios. I remember it was the first time I got to use a hot glue gun, and I never even got burnt. Those were my favorite field trips, but I liked all of them, really, because they allowed you to skip class to have fun. And I would like to thank my mom and dad for sending me into this amazing school with awesome trips.
Hi, I'm Riley, and I'm going to talk about one of the things that makes Bethany awesome. Jake was right. It is the field trips. We've gone on so many field trips here. We've gone on multiple in every grade, even preschool. A great preschool field trip was the pumpkin patch. I always remember wearing my pumpkin shirt and taking a photo with the largest pumpkins. In kindergarten, we went to the Nutcracker with our study buddies. My study buddies were Drew and Josh. I thought the play was a bit odd and boring considering there was no talking, but our study buddies made it fun. One of the best field trip in first grade was the lemon factory. My mom was sick that day and couldn't drive, but my grandma said she could, and I loved having her there. I didn't love wearing a hairnet, though. The factory was huge. There were tons of conveyor belts filled with lemons. The people at the factory were even nice enough to let us pick some lemons, which I tried to eat, but they were just a bit too sour. An awesome field trip in second grade was Create Studios. We all got to make something out of what would otherwise be trash. There was so much to choose from, it was hard to decide what to make. I ended up making a dog out of a can and some corks, and I still have it today. One of the best field trips in third grade was the Chumash Center. We got to explore Native American huts that looked exactly like they would if the Chumash had built them themselves. Also, our tour guide taught us a really cool song that Native American children used to sing. In fourth grade, we went to Sacramento. It was so fun and exciting. We had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to school on time, so I was really tired. The night before, I had finished reading the Birch of Terabithia for the first time, so the first thing I said when my mom woke me up was, "The girl dies." She just laughed. Once we got to school, we rode on a bus to LAX. I remember being so excited. I mean, it's fun to go anywhere with your friends, but especially on a plane. Once we got to the airport, we had to go through security, then wait to board the plane. While we were waiting, we played this game where you go boom, clap, beat, the beat, clap, over and over again, and if you mess up, you're out. I tried to learn it all day, but I couldn't until the very end. The plane ride was super short. We were on then off. Then we got on a bus that took us to many fun places around the city. One was Sutter's Fort, where we got to explore many fun old buildings. Another was Old Town Sacramento. We got to go in a candy shop and an old-fashioned schoolhouse to learn how to bow and curtsy. Then it was my favorite part, the train museum. They had all sorts of trains, but my favorite was a train simulation where when you got on, it would feel like you were on a real train. Finally, we ate pizza and left for home. I was exhausted, but it was one of the most fun field trips in my life. In 5th grade, we went to Astor Camp. We were in good-sized cabins with bunk beds. I was in a cabin with Ava, Sophia, and my mom. Each day, we would take super fun classes. My favorite was when we had to create a contraption to save a water balloon from breaking when we dropped it. Another was the sky coaster. I was super nervous about doing it at first because you would be pulled super high and then dropped. I ended up doing it, and I loved swinging back and forth through the trees. As much as I loved Astor Camp, outdoor school is even better. The cabins were small and even a bit gross, and when my mom and I first got there, we were like, this might be rough, but it didn't even matter. I loved everything about Outdoor Ed. The food was delicious, and the scenery was as beautiful as a photo in a magazine. The tall trees gave shade that covered our heads. The best thing I did there was a hike in the rain. Only 10 kids got to do it, and the rest missed out on the best hike I had ever done. We trekked up into a mountain and under these small trees that arched over and totally covered our heads from the rain. The part that made me nervous was crossing the rushing creek, but thankfully I did it without falling in. Even so, we were soaked when we got back, but it was totally worth it. That same day, it started hailing. It was as loud as a man yelling, and there was tons of white ice on the ground. It was really cool to see. Outdoor school is by far my favorite field trip. I love Bethany, and I'd like to thank my parents for sending me here and letting me go on these amazing field trips to learn outside the classroom walls. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emerson, and I've been at Bethany since I was 2 years old. I don't have any memories of my life before Bethany, and I do not remember a time when I have not loved it. Every single teacher here is so nice. A verse that reminds me of these teachers is Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men. All of the women who have taught us this verse have also showed it in their Christian leadership, but today I'm going to focus on the fun memories of each teacher. Mrs. Hamby made kindergarten so much fun. She rewarded good behavior with delicious pillow mints. The best part about kindergarten was having a study buddy. My study buddy's name was Anna, and I absolutely loved her. I really looked up to her. Literally, she was really tall. Mrs. Patrizzi let us line a stuffed animal and do a puzzle or read a book. At the end of the day, she gave us delicious runts. Mrs. Fenderson did a fun craft almost every single day and gave us delicious Smarties on Fridays. The best part about second grade was the animal-themed weeks. There were Shark Week, Penguin Week, Bat Week, but no Bee Week. Every week was Bee Week for Mrs. B. Learning third grade multiplication might be boring at other schools, but Mrs. B did multiplication using delicious ice cream sundaes. Mrs. Robertson was so neat and organized. She let us earn tokens for the legendary Robertson Warehouse, where I would buy delicious Jolly Ranchers. The best part about fourth grade was visiting Sacramento. On the flight there, Emily and I we were sitting in front of a volleyball team. We thought it would be really funny to ask them for their autographs because they had just won an important tournament. So we secretly passed back a napkin asking for their autographs, and they were super excited. They actually signed it and gave it back to us. I still have that napkin to this very day. Mrs. Jack was as kind as a mom and super enthusiastic. She gave us delicious jelly beans every single day. One thing I'll never forget about fifth grade was the sky coaster at Astro Camp. You got to go super high up, and then you pull the cord, and it felt like you were flying. Mrs. Harvey was inspirational. Even when we wanted to be done with our country reports, she encouraged us to keep going by fueling us with delicious Skittles. Every other week, we did a girls' Bible study with her. The best part about sixth grade was going to outdoor school. Every night, we played a super fun game. My favorite was the Dutch auction. We dressed up in crazy costumes and then performed a skit. The best part was the skits were really random, like create an ad for a cow flotation device. Even though my time at Bethany is almost over, I will never forget everyone who made my 10 years here amazing. Do you notice a theme here? Even though I love candy, it does not compare to the wonderful education I received here at Bethany. I've been blessed to get to know dedicated Christian teachers who fed me delicious candy. I would like to thank my brother Parker, my dog Zoe for barking at me while I do my homework, every single teacher and staff member that works here at Bethany, and most of all my parents for letting me go to this awesome school.
Hi, my name is Colt, and I've been going to Bethany for 3 years. Coming from public to private was a great change. At Bethany has made me smarter, wiser, and a better person. On the first day of fourth grade, everyone was wanting to be my friend and help me around the school. Fourth grade was fun, and my favorite field trip was Sacramento. We learned so much about the government and the area around there. Then fifth grade was here, and Preston was a new kid, and I decided to become friends with him, and we're still best friends to this very day. Fifth grade was very fun, and we got to do our state reports and learn more about the Office of President. In fifth grade, my favorite field trip was Astro Camp. When we got there, the very first game we played was Steal the Chicken, which was very fun. Then middle school was here, and Mrs. Harvey was our teacher. She was very gracious to us if we forgot a problem on our homework. Time flew, and then we had to do our country reports. I was super stoked that I got Australia. I learned so much about the religion, sports, the Great Barrier Reef, and the unique different animals, like the duck-billed platypus. Then outdoor ed was here. The whole entire class was really excited. When we got there, everyone was so hyper, we were running all over the place. At outdoor ed, we learned more about God's creation and what he built. A verse that reminds me of outdoor ed is Psalms 37:4. Trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Even though I've been going to Bethany for 3 years, I've still learned a lot. Middle school's not over yet, so I'll try to make the best out of it. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for sending me to this amazing school. I'd also like to thank the teachers and helpers who had made me the person I am today. Even though we're all going to different schools, I'll still remember you all in my heart.
Whoa, is this really the end of sixth grade already? Hi, I'm Sophia Brocky, and I've been at Bethany since kindergarten. This is such an amazing school, and I've been so blessed to go here for 7 years. Time flies, right? From my teachers to my amazing classmates, this school has changed me so much. I would not be who I am today if I hadn't gone here. In kindergarten, I was really nervous on the first day because almost everybody knew each other from preschool. I made a few friends pretty quickly, though. Mrs. Hamby ended up being the best kindergarten teacher ever, and she is still an important part of my life today. A few days later, we got to meet our study buddies. Riley Cannon and I shared Madison, the best study buddy of all eternity, besides Scarlett, my current study buddy. We had a lot of fun this year. We had a lot of fun that year, and I was sad to say goodbye to Mrs. Hamby and Madison, but I was excited for my next year at Bethany. In first grade, I had made a few friends, so I had fun in the playground before school started. Mrs. Patrizzi was amazing, and every day before we got to go home, she would give each one of us a hug. 2 people from our current class came that year, Elias and Ava Maduro. I would later become close friends with Ava. I also remember one day in math we were working on fractions, and Mrs. Patrizzi asked if we wanted an eighth or a half of a donut. Almost everybody said an eighth, and we got tiny pieces. We all wanted to switch our answers after that. Fractions seemed fun in first grade because we thought we would get sweets with them every time, but that did not happen in the upper grades. We had a lot of fun that year, especially putting our handprints on the wall and making bells at Christmas time, but it was time for second grade. I had heard a lot of good things about Mrs. Fenderson, so I wasn't as nervous. She had a lot of fun things planned for us that year. We got to do Shark Week and Penguin Week. That was the year that I really started to love the ocean. Camille and I also became close friends that year. We had a lot of fun that year, and we were sad that we wouldn't be in Mrs. Fenderson's class anymore, but it was time for third grade. As soon as we met Mrs. B, we knew we had a great year in store. We got to do a whole unit on bees because they were Mrs. B's favorite, pun intended. We also did a Native American tribe report. I did the Cheyenne tribe. We had a lot of fun with Mrs. B, and we were sad that we wouldn't be in her class anymore, but we were excited for our next year at Bethany. In fourth grade, we were all at least a little bit nervous because we had officially moved upstairs. Mrs. Robertson welcomed us with open arms, and we definitely learned more about organization that year. But something tragic happened. Ava Maduro got introduced to the name Albert, and she has been naming literally everything Albert ever since. I think I might miss Albert next year, though, as we head off to different schools. We also did a California missions report, and I did San Rafael. We had a lot of fun that year together, and we were sad we wouldn't be in Mrs. Robertson's class anymore, but we were also excited to be in Mrs. Jack's class. Then came fifth grade. We had to do our first big report that year, the state report. Everyone was dreading it, but Mrs. Jack made it fun, especially by letting us watch the state song every now and then. Oh, and did I mention that Mrs. Jack taught us all about U.S. history and made it super fun by taking us on a Mayflower reenactment? Okay, back to the reports. I did Wyoming because that's where my Indian tribe in third grade lived. We definitely had a lot of fun that year, but it was time for sixth grade. Now we come to our last and perhaps our greatest year at Bethany, with study buddies, outdoor school, and our country reports. When we first got our study buddies, I didn't have Scarlett. I had Eden Ruggiero. She had to move to the Philippines, though. She was so sweet, and I was devastated. But then I realized that God had the most perfect, amazing, awesome plan ever. When I was paired up with Scarlett, I was so happy. She has been the best study buddy anyone could ask for, and we had a lot of fun this year together. Then came the country reports. I did Norway, and I had a lot of fun bringing in food specific to my country. Outdoor school was a blast, and we all had so much fun. The activities were awesome, and the counselors were so nice. Deborah, also known as Maverick, was my favorite. I'm so thankful that Mrs. Harvey has let us do all these fun activities. And Mrs. Harvey, thank you so much for keeping your promise in kindergarten to stay until I was in sixth grade. I would also like to thank my parents for sending me to this amazing school. I don't know where to start thanking my grandparents. You guys have packed my lunch every day and gotten me to school on time without fail these 7 years. I would also like to thank the teachers and staff here. You have made these years of my life so special, and I will never forget you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ava Castle. I'm really blessed to be here with you right now. I've enjoyed all of my years and memories at Bethany, but one of my personal favorites was outdoor ed. It was a bright and nature-filled community with lots to learn and experience. One of my favorite moments was the toothpaste war. It started with just a handprint on the back, but then elevated to a full face full of toothpaste. That got nasty. Next, the food was surprisingly really good, definitely better than Astro Camp. My favorite meal was the orange chicken and rice, which was filled. Oh, sorry. Besides the food, I really loved getting to stay in cabins with my friends. We played an epic game called Fire Gun, which was filled with some fun and funny moments. The activities and games were probably my favorite part of the trip. When I did BB guns, we had to hit all the targets that were set up. That was awesome. Did I mention that we went on what felt like dozens of inspiring hikes? Furthermore, there always has to be a little friendly competition, right? Well, in our case, it was trying to have the cleanest cabin, which got to choose activities first, and the straightest and quietest line got to go in first for meals. Guess who won the most times? The hummingbird cabin, of course. Another fun detail was the daunting rope swing. When I was on it, sometimes it felt like flying. Near the rope swing, there was a quiet river. I found it quite pleasant to watch its flowing waters, which gave it a fresh feeling. When I touched it, it was as cold as the morning winter air. Lastly, I want to talk about the main reason why we went to outdoor ed other than having fun. Loving and learning more about God. God is our Lord of Lords, our Alpha and Omega, our Creator, our Shepherd, and much more. Each day we can learn more about His power, and I especially realized that when we were at outdoor ed. Standing in the midst of His creation made me feel more empowered and motivated. I hope you can feel that too. I want to thank my parents for allowing me to attend Bethany, which made me a part of who I am. I want to thank the brilliant teachers who helped me excel in life, and I want to thank my wonderful friends for always being there for me. I want to leave you with 2 verses that spoke to me. Psalms 20, verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And Lamentations 3:10. He is to me like a bear lying in wait and a lion in secret places. These verses remind me that God will always be with me and that I can always count on Him. Thank you, Bethany.
Hi, I'm William, and today I'm going to tell you how Bethany Christian School changed my life and brought me closer to God. Before I went to Bethany, I went to public school. At public school, some kids were mean, and it was hard to make new friends. There were also many distractions, and it was sometimes hard to learn. After my 3rd grade year at public school, my parents finally discovered Bethany and told me I would go there next year. At first, I wasn't very happy because I was nervous about changing schools, but I was excited for a change. On the first day of school, I was super anxious because I thought it would be very hard to make new friends, but I was wrong. Right off the bat, I met many new friends. Everyone was so kind to me and taught me how to play fun new games like Goggle Ball and Zombie.